magic in the air. Wands roll around us, cast away our care. Friends in the hallways, adventures we find. Spells and enchantments, trouble on our mind. That's so wizards, oh, 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 oh. Life is a spell we know. We're casting joy and glow, oh, oh. That's a wizard show.
You know, despite everything, I never get tired of that song. What's up, my nerds? It's your boy, the OGGM, broadcasting live from Site B, located somewhere in the apocalyptic wasteland known as Fresno, Nevada, which does not exactly exist. It's about 9 o'clock here on a beautiful Monday morning. How y'all doing this November? Hopefully you're all well. Oh, Wizards of the Coast, you silly, silly sausage. Hey, Wizards of the Coast has re-registered the darksun brand name. Yes, the game setting most people have been hoping that Wizards of the Coast would bring back, but also dreading that Wizards of the Coast would bring back, because as much as people would love to see darksun come back, nobody wants to see darksun done through the current lens of Wizards of the Coast design philosophy. Gone would be the tale of survival in a post-apocalyptic wasteland where you have to fight off psionic monks and cannibalistic halflings, slavery and torture, the everyday threat. Instead, your biggest threat in the post-2024 Wizards of the Coast darksun would be who could bring the most cupcakes to a tea party, I guess. I don't know how you make darksun comfy, cozy, and safe and embrace all the current mindset of the Mackenzies who are now running Wizards of the Coast. But don't worry, they didn't announce they were bringing it back. They just announced that they were re-registering it. The story comes to us, of course, from Ian World, who gets it from the various sites and whatever. Apparently, they dropped the ball and let the trademark slide. And then they re-registered the trademark on October 13th. This is under a new trademark. So not only does this trademark cover any published product of the word darksun in the darksun setting, but it also covers downloadable electronic games, games and playthings, and entertainment services. That just sounds wrong. Entertainment services. Oh yeah, she's an escort and she's just doing this to get money to go to art college. Yeah, I don't know if entertainment services is the right word. We know what you mean. You mean gambling, because there are Wizards of the Coast slot machines. But yeah, entertainment services just sounds kind of icky. But hey, this is Wizards of the Coast 2025. So yeah, they wanted to make sure that not only you could not make a darksun, and you could not make anything that resembles darksun, which is, of course, bullshit. You can, but also that they have the ability now to make downloadable electronic games and playthings. Hey, mommy, can Santa bring me the darksun playset for Christmas? Yes, Billy. And for extra, we included cannibalistic halfling action figures. Yay, post-apocalypse. Yep. darksun action figures, and darksun entertainment services, which again means movies, TV, video games, and slot machines, not anything pornographic. Get your mind out of the gutter. This is a kid's game. So what does this mean? Hey, maybe I want to make a darksun game. Does this mean I can't make a post-apocalyptic, vaguely Edgar Rice Burroughs, vaguely Thundar the Barbarian, vaguely Mad Max setting? Because Critical Role, Wizards of the Coast, well, they're the same thing. Will send the Wizards of the Coast police after me? No, it doesn't. It doesn't even mean you can't use the word darksun. I wouldn't, but it doesn't mean you can't. You just can't use their interpretation of the word darksun, and you can't use anything that is specific to darksun and the setting. That's still theirs. The setting, the history, the lore, the monsters, even though some of the monsters were stolen from another role-playing game, but that's a different topic. Yeah, that's all theirs. So you can't repeat that. But there's nothing saying that if you wanted to make a post-apocalyptic fantasy setting that embraces Edgar Rice Burroughs, John Carter, Warlord of Mars, Thundar the Barbarian, Mad Max type of, survival of the fittest, dark atomic, I don't know what to call it, darksun, dark atomic post-apocalyptic fantasy, with psychic monks and cannibalistic halflings. You just can't use any of the Wizards of the Coast names. But let's face it, there's tons of games out there that are basically, X, and people just use different names. We just looked at one the other day that was basically Spelljammer, but with a different name. So yeah, the idea, they can't copyright. They can just copyright specific images and specific words and stuff like that. So go ahead, all of you, make a post-apocalyptic fantasy setting to compete. So considering that they've claimed they will never, ever, ever repeat Darksun, can we expect a 2026 Wizards of the Coast version of Darksun? And would anybody actually want a 2026 version of Darksun, knowing full well that individuals like Mackenzie Deams will have her greasy little fingers in it? And then she'll probably say it was originally her idea. So, no, I know a lot of people wanted this to come back, but do you really want it to come back? Because it won't be the Darksun you love and remember. It'll be 2026 Dungeons and Dragons Darksun. Ooh, Darksun the mouthwash. Yeah. And speaking of hellscapes and the tie-in to Critical Role and Stranger Things, as the final season of Stranger Things begins to roll into the station, there's already a Stranger Things prequel, sequel, animated things on Netflix. People are beginning to wonder how Wizards of the Coast is going to brand off of Stranger Things and how Stranger Things is going to brand off D&D. And one of the first things is of course, milking the Hellfire Club, which played such a pivotal part in the last season, and Eddie, of course, and the Hellfire Club imagery, and of course, the history of the Hellfire Club. So they've printed up a complete history of the word Hellfire Club, dating all the way back to the actual Hellfire Club that was established in London as a gentleman's club. You can actually visit the site of the original Hellfire Club, and of course, the other organizations throughout the years that have used the word Hellfire Club. What they neglect to mention, of course, because apparently people didn't do anything resembling research, is the Hellfire Club they're referring to in Critical Stranger Things, which is not the 18th, 19th century gentleman's club in London, England. No, the Hellfire Club that they're referring to in Critical Role. God, why do I keep calling it Critical Role? In Stranger well, they're the same thing. That's probably why I'm calling it Critical Role. In Stranger Things was the Hellfire Club from Marvel Comics, not Victorian England Gentlemen's Club. Because remember, this takes place in 1984, 1985, 1986 now. And what was one of the major story arcs in Marvel Comics in 1984 to 85 and 86? The Dark Phoenix saga, which heavily featured the supervillain group known as the Hellfire Club. So the Hellfire Club that Eddie is the head of, that they're all doing all these t-shirts and stuff, is the Marvel Hellfire Club from the Dark Phoenix saga. But it's interesting to know that somebody actually did some history research. And went, there was a Hellfire Club in Victorian England. It was a gentleman's club. They got into all sorts of nasty things like gambling and drinking and pretending they were devils and having orgies. And And finally, for some last minute, how did this happen? News. Apparently, Wizards of the Coast is having trouble shipping product overseas. So anybody in Asia or Europe who is expecting stuff to arrive by street date, well, you might have to wait a bit because it's been delayed because, I don't know, there's something going on that involves boats being delayed and planes being delayed. So shipping, of course, is delayed. It's like the organization that's in charge of making sure these things leave on time is not operating. And it's like there's this huge political financial thing that makes it much harder to transport product to and from the United States because now it charges more. I don't know. It's what's going on that would cause boats and planes to be delayed to ship product overseas. Oh, yeah, the government shut down and the tariff thing. So, yeah, sorry, but don't feel too bad, other countries. The United States is suffering through the same thing. Everybody out there is wondering, will my product arrive on time? will the plane take off on time? You know, stuff like that. So what does this mean for the holidays? I don't know. I'd probably put in your orders now, or for the pre-Black Friday sales and the Black Friday sales for any tabletop role-playing game product you might want that might involve shipping from another state, or to go to an actual store and see if they have that product in stock. As for anything that's coming out after today, well, thankfully, it doesn't look like there's much we can, to expect coming out from any of the companies, excluding Wizards of the Coast, because we're spiraling into the holidays and nobody's really going to release anything now. Wizards will probably try and market the Stranger Things Critical Role crossover as best they can. The other companies will try and do holiday-themed adventures and try and get stuff marked down on the various sites, but I don't expect any big major breakthrough product to come out in December. Because, holidays. So start your holiday Christmas shopping now, and the best way to start your holiday Christmas shopping, of course, is to use the links down below to support me, your favorite Grinch, the OGGM. Remember, this is my jobs, guys. The holidays are coming up, and Steve is a very demanding child. So if you're feeling generous and want to toss a coin to your favorite Grinch, use the link down below. Support me through the Ko-Fi, buy my product on drive-thru, or just have a super happy cupcakey apocalypse. Because when it comes to the end of the world, nothing says cannibalistic halflings like 2024, 2025 Dungeons and Dragons, cupcakes and bunnies and Starbucks. That's just Wizards!
Mischief in the classroom, potions gone astray, flying through the quad, now brighter every day. Laugh till we cry hard, sneaking out at night, cloaks in the moonlight, everything feels right.